Welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skibowski of Remax Lakes. Welcome to the weekend.
Welcome to the weekend. Good morning.
Yes, and here we are. And this week, we are going to talk about tips for selling.
Yeah, we covered, buyers. We've covered that pretty heavily. And I thought, you know what? Let's talk about some selling stuff.
Yeah, let's do this.
Folks that are listing their property, we're hearing all that. Hey, the market's hot. You got to get out there. Things are going. So if I'm a seller and I'm thinking about putting my house on the market, number one, what's my objective? To sell the house. And number two, get the maximum out of it that I can, right? I mean, we've evaluated why we need to sell. Is this the right time? Yes. Okay, let's go ahead and do it. So these are tips to hopefully get it sold quickly and maximize your return on that. So I think first thing I talk about is declutter.
It's a big one.
It's a big one. It's tough for people to see past your stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's probably my favorite term, stuff. Because we've all got a lot of it, right? Mm-hmm. We have our closets full. We've got, you walk into your own house. Now, granted, I tried this with my wife, and I got slapped around a little bit. She's like, nah, we're not selling the house. We don't need to deal with that. Mm-hmm. So I said, all right, I got you. But if you walk into your own house, take a look at it and see what it looks like.
Sure.
Think about that. If you're going to sell it, look at it as a buyer would look at that property. So you walk in the door, there's shoes stacked up at the front door, coats laying over the couch, all of those things. That needs to be decluttered. Beyond that, take some big pieces of furniture out of the room. If you've got a room that's a little bit small, and you've got that comfortable chair that you sit in on Sunday morning and read the paper or do whatever,
right?
Maybe you need to take some furniture out of that room. Mm-hmm. So decluttering, that when we say that, a lot of you, I need to stage my house. Well, yeah, staging just means cleaning it up and getting it in presentable condition, to where people can see their stuff in your place, so they can see past your house.
Right.
So that's one of the things that you ought to do is declutter your house. If you've been thinking about selling for a while, many times I get calls, hey, we're thinking about selling, what upgrade should I do to go ahead and sell it? Well, beyond some minor things, if you think you're putting it on the market in the next 30 days or so, it doesn't make sense to go and spend a lot of money upgrading your house.
Right.
The reason for that, you're not going to get that return. Mm-hmm. It's just not going to happen. So if you spend, hey, the deck needs to be stained, well, let's replace the deck. Now, most people aren't going to make that leap, but you'd be surprised. I'll walk into a house and the paint's peeling a little bit on the deck. Well, I know I got to do this, and I think I'll just take it off and put a new one on. You're not going to see that return. So I'm not saying put lipstick on a pig.
Sure.
Don't Band-Aid it, but don't go spend a lot of money on making upgrades because you're not going to see that back. We've done a couple of shows on return on improvements.
Right.
Kitchens and baths are where you get money back. Mm-hmm. But if you go and spend money on, I just put brand new blinds in. What value is that going to provide to a buyer? It really isn't going to provide a financial value to the buyer. Mm-hmm. It may make it look better, but it's not going to provide a financial return for you. The other question that we get is carpeting. Should I clean the carpet or should I replace the carpet? If I've heard it once, I've heard it 100 times. I don't want to replace the carpet because they're just going to come in and put in what they want anyways. So why should I spend the money on carpeting? Now, if you walk in the front door and the first thing you see is a 3x3 tear in the carpet, or you've got a rug that's covering a tear, that's the classic, right? Hey,
right.
Why would we just keep putting rugs around the living room to cover these holes up? If you've got holes in your carpet, that's not what I'm talking about. If you're thinking about selling it, replace that carpet. Mm-hmm. Don't go outrageous. Don't spend, the luxury brand, whatever that may be. Get something that's neutral color, that's not going to be offensive to anybody, that's not going to turn anybody up. Don't go buy pink carpet. Mm-hmm. Buy something fairly neutral and a reasonable grade. Again, if we're talking a luxury home, lakefront home, you don't want to go and buy, the cheapest stuff. You can see the carpet underlayment, through the carpet. You need to buy decent grade. Base it on the property that you're in, but buy an average grade material. Don't go spend a boatload on those things. So basically don't over upgrade. So declutter, don't over upgrade.
Okay.
when you're getting ready to take pictures or your agent's getting ready to take pictures, conceal the critters. Dogs, cats, they have odors. They truly do. Dogs, maybe not so much, but cats, the litter box. When you have showings, when somebody's taking pictures, make sure the litter box is clean. When people come in, try to minimize those odors.
Sure.
Nothing, from a buyer's perspective, you open the door to get hit by the smell.
The smell. Well, that's why they say bake cookies, because that smells inviting.
It is inviting. And what a lot of people try to do is buy those perfumey things you plug in, or they're burning potpourri, or burning candles to offset the smell. Buyers can see right through that. The first question is, what are they covering up?
Right.
So, try and keep the cats outside. If you're thinking about, hey, in 30 days we're going to sell, get the things cleaned up, maybe move the litter box. I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm not a cat expert. But if you move the litter box, maybe that's the way to do it. But get that smell out of the house.
Right.
So
sounds good. We're going to talk more about this. Tips on selling coming up here next. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time, and we're talking about tips for selling your home here with Mark Skibowski of RE/MAX Lakes, and we talked about some really, really good ones. I mean, decluttering the home, that's a major one.
That's a biggie.
Right from the get-go. Not doing like major upgrades and concealing the critters, because those critters, they bring on smells.
They do. Birds do. I've been in lots of houses and seen all kinds of pets.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing, probably the worst is walk in and there's a python sitting right in front of the door, one of those cases.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know if those are legal or not. But I'm not the snake police.
No.
But I walked in and saw it. I was like, what the heck is that doing there? Scares the bejesus out of you.
Right.
So think about that from a buyer's perspective. When they come into your house, what are they looking at?
Right.
And what are they smelling?
Right. Okay.
The other thing, it's one of the easiest pieces, and if I looked around my house right now, I probably have some light bulbs that are out. Yeah. I've got a 5-light fixture. Oh, one's out. It's fine. There's plenty of light.
Right.
Well, if I'm trying to sell my house, change those light bulbs. Make sure all the light bulbs work. Why is that? If we are deferring that maintenance, buyers are going to be concerned, what else aren't you doing?
Right.
It all goes to my inspection order, right? When Captain Skibowski comes to inspect the house before we list it, make sure that you've cleaned, all the vents, all of those things, the ceiling fans. There's sometimes, the dust that collects on ceiling fans is pretty amazing. You can see stringers hanging on the fan, as it goes. Clean that up, and then my favorite is over, the door jambs. As you walk through a door, reach up and just check your door. See if you've got dust hanging there.
Right.
So, but make sure the lights are all working. Keep the blinds open, the shades open. Light is helpful in selling your property. So light it up the best you can. Another tip is your first impression. All of the things we're talking about impact the first impression, but maybe drive up to your house as if you're a buyer from the outside, park in your driveway, and walk in the way that a buyer is going to walk in. What did you see? Is your mailbox tipped over to the side? Is the trash can tipped over in the garage or in the driveway? Are the shrubs trimmed? Is the grass trimmed? Is the sidewalk look nasty?
Right.
All of those things as you're pulling up to the house. Are there maple leaves growing out of the gutters? Right. All of those things, again, it leads to deferred maintenance for a buyer. Are you not doing things? But again, it's that first impression. Open the door. We talked about decluttering. What's the first thing you walk into when you walk into that house?
Right. Yeah, I think these things go hand in hand, because we've had a very, very wet spring here lately.
Yes.
And so I'm looking at all of these yards that just have the tall grass, overgrown grass. Landscaping needs some work. Bushes need to be trimmed up. And you just look at that property, and it's just like, that property doesn't look like it's, very much in value. And,
right.
And it really is it comes down to lawn maintenance. And I just got my lawn done. I had time to do it the other day, and it makes the house look so much better.
It really does. You pull through a neighborhood and the yards are all cleaned up, and if you've got your house listed for sale, you want to be that yard.
Yeah. You
want to be that yard. So, and it follows along on the inside of the house. You want that same thing on the inside.
And a little bit of mulch can go a long way.
A little bit of mulch can go a long ways, absolutely. So again, that first impression is the only impression. The next thing is be ready to show. when you put your house on the market, especially as hot as it happens to be right now, the likelihood is you're going to get showings. So if you list on a Monday, if it hits the MLS on Monday, you need to be ready for showings on Monday.
Okay.
Because they very well could happen. Now again, you're still in control. It's still your house. You can say yes or no, but you're putting it out there for a reason.
Right.
You can't sell it if you can't show it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, bottom line, you cannot. If you cannot get buyers in there to look at the property, you'll not be able to sell your house. And I get it, there's things that come up, and hey, you know, I've got a sick kid, I've got a this, I've got a that. But it's frustrating for buyers when they see one they want to get into, they're reasonable on their expectation. Can I see it tonight? You know, later this afternoon, 4 or 5 hours later, and you get no.
Right.
So always be ready to show, and then be available to answer your agent when you get a request for a showing.
Mm-hmm.
I actually requested one yesterday morning about 9 o'clock
Okay.
for a showing at 4:30 yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
By 1 o'clock, I still had not heard whether we were okay to go in and show that.
wow.
So I just rescheduled it, you know, for today.
Okay.
Schedule it for later today. Well, it was kind of frustrating because my buyer, hey, I wanted to get in, and now we've got to go, you know, on a Saturday. What's up with that? I thought we
Right.
were going to do it on a Friday afternoon. Now
Right.
we're doing it on a Saturday.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. You know, we adapted and adjusted, but that buyer could have had 3 or 4 other properties they wanted to see. And if they can't get in to see your house, they won't be there to buy your house.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, just be available. Have your house available. I'm not telling you to change your life. You can set those criteria, you know, with your agent. Hey, I need 24 hours to show it, or I need 6 hours to show it. Then follow along with that.
And when you do leave so that your house can be shown, you want to take the pets with you.
Take the pets
on
with you. Nothing worse than a barking dog while you're in trying to show. It is hard to do.
Right.
I showed one in Columbia City a couple of weeks ago, and there were 2 large dogs that barked the entire time. We couldn't even have a conversation
Mm-hmm.
in the house. They were crated. They weren't going to hurt us, but they were barking the whole time. We had to go outside to talk.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing.
Right.
So, and I think finally the last piece is price it right. You know, back in the day it was location, location, location. Now it's price, 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 location.
Because it's a hot market.
It's a hot market. If you price yourself out, you won't get showings. You know, you would think that they'd be afraid to throw a lowball offer, and they are. Buyers are. You would think they would not be, but buyers many times don't want to be offensive. If you're 25, 30,000 overpriced, you will not get showings, and you will not get any offers on that property.
And that comes down to good comps from a good agent.
Correct.
That knows what they're doing.
Correct. Not the assessment, not, you know, the Zestimate. Use
Yeah.
comps, use a broker, and do your homework and price your property correctly. That's the number one tip for selling your home and selling it quickly.
Okay, some really good tips here for selling your home. Mark, your contact information?
Sure, it's lakes-realtors.com, 574-834-1233.
Okay, you've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Have a wonderful weekend.